Welcome, folks, back to Big Sky Big Takes on the Fans Network. I'm your host for this one. This is Colby Peterson, and with me tonight, again, as always, Montana Parlay. Parlay, how was your weekend, man?
It was great. Actually, I saw an old friend, the ever famous and mysterious Bear Tycoon. He was celebrating
Oh,
his 55th birthday, and you know, got to rub elbows with the elites down in our nation's capital, have some great food, have some beverages. Maybe more on that later, but not today. And karaoke. So yeah, it was a hell of a weekend. And here I am. Brain's a little mushy. We'll see. Kind of like the Grizz defense. I'm just not all there today.
yeah, we'll talk about that, man. But yeah, I definitely it's good that you were able to talk to Bear Tycoon. I know that you guys go way back, and so good to know that he's still alive and kicking, man. I haven't heard too much of him in the Big Sky Podcast Network chat these days.
Yeah, he's kind of in his own world right now. But he's still alive. He's still kicking. Um, he's still smart ass. So just so everyone knows, he's there. And maybe someday we'll get him on the pod.
All right, it's a worthy goal, I think. So before we dive in, guys, really we want to thank the Fans Nation Network for giving us an opportunity to do this show on their channel. Make sure to check out all the great content that gets produced here. Lots of good FCS content. If you're here for FCS football, this is the place. So make sure to check out their YouTube channel. Lots of good shows that go on each week. And, of course, follow any of those that have podcasts, whether that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to check out some of those. So if you're not listening on YouTube, you can put them in your podcast feed and check them out there. Lots and lots of great content. So shout out to those guys. Really appreciate them. So Parlay, let's talk, man. Where do you want to begin? How do you want to begin this one? This is our second show of the season, and we kind of started out the gate last time, reintroducing ourselves, saying what's up to everybody. But this is a different week. This is week 2.
First of all, I need a tech assistant because I can't even access our rundown because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But let's just go from the cuff. It's what I do best. If I couldn't speak out of different orifices, I wouldn't be able to make it through my life. So yeah, I got to readdress the giveaway. We're going to come down with an actual strategy on that at some point. Just know that if you're interacting with us, if you're here, if you're reaching out on Twitter, if you're reaching out on Instagram, if you're commenting right now, you've got a shot. Your friends have a shot to make it to the Natty. We got 3 tickets. We're going to give away a pair and maybe a little bonus ticket to the national championship down in Frisco, Texas. Maybe even a VIP lunch at that barbecue place. Again, mushy brain syndrome set in. I've eaten there 47 times because I think every time I've gone to the Natty the last 3 years, I've gone twice. So 3 times 2 equals 47 in my brain today. But it's amazing. You ate there last year, didn't you, Cole?
Did I? I'm trying to think.
Oh man, this
I,
this show's going well so far. Um,
I'm trying to
so
remember the barbecue that I had. I don't know if I did, man. I remember. I don't know if
Frank,
I
oh
did.
my
So maybe
goodness.
that's a thing I got to do this year.
Yeah, you're gonna do it. So anyway, it's gonna be a great time. We're giving those away. They could be worth thousands or 50 cents on the dollar, depending on who makes. If it's
Yep.
who knows if it's Davis. Oh, how about that game? How
Oh
about
my.
that game?
How about that
Um,
game?
you know, bottom line, Natty's a great time. If you're an FCS football fan, you have to make the pilgrimage to Frisco at least 10 times in your life. Start with one, make it this year. And
You'll get addicted, man. Like once you go and you hang out with everybody and you just like chill for the weekend and just see all these people, it's it's good, man. It's just a good
Bernie,
time.
Bernie for the save. Let's pop that up there so the people can see. Hutchins, the Texas Twinkie, the brisket, the big old slab. That's your first plate's going to cost at least $50. Let's just face it, $50 on lunch. It's going to happen, but you got to try, and your eyes are going to be bigger in your stomach. And if you're like me, or like I used to be, you probably drank a bit too much the night before, so it's not going to be overly enjoyable at first until you settle in and you just do the Lord's work to get that meat in your belly. Hutchins is a great place. All right. I think there's a segment coming up. It's my favorite one. I know it's why a lot of you are here. That's right. Parlay preaches. So it's funny, sometimes I look at these things as if, are the coaches listening to me?
Oh no.
Oh, what are we doing here? All right. Okay. Are they listening to me? Are they watching? Are the boosters watching? Are the gambling gods paying attention? Because last week I kind of made a comment about the Mercyhurst game and how they were running out the clock and then they weren't. And now I'm all by myself. And then this week, Bobcats, early line, minus 13.5. Those who follow me on Twitter knew that that was the play. You jump on that. I told you to jump on that. Get all over it. 13.5 was insane from a value perspective. I thought so for the Grizz. More on that later. Well, sure enough, the Bobcat line opened at 20.5, even 21.5 in some spots on FanDuel and other national books. That was too much, and instantly it dropped to the 19.5 to 17.5 range, and I thought anything 17 or higher was Idaho State. Bobcats were 0-4 against the spread. Holt Arena is Holt Arena, all right? 17 points, too much for the first conference game against a not horrendous team, okay? So I did bet the middle. I had 13.5. I had 19.5. Okay, 6-point middle. I'll take it. It looked perfect. It was right in the middle most of the game. It was headed that way. There was less than 40 seconds left. Idaho State was not taking timeouts to try to get the ball back and get a little score to make it respectable. Bobcats were up, 14? And what did they do? They punched it in. It's almost like Vegan was like, this parlay guy, I don't think he deserves a middle. And they punched it in. I mean, that was one of those things where some coaches look at that and they say, hey, that's disrespectful. But I pull back my pride. I forget about my wallet, which took a significant hit because of that. Thank you, Vikings. Thank you, Tampa Bay Bucks. You saved me on Sunday. This isn't an NFL podcast. But from the thousand eye bird's eye view, he had to punch it in because these dang playoff pickers, seeders, committee people, Ken Haslam's buddies, cohorts, they look at these scores throughout the year, and there's going to be a huge difference on who gets what seed this year because there's 5 to 7 teams that have a shot. So I forgive you, Vegan. You needed a score there, even though it hurt me in the end. That's it. Moving on.
Okay. Well, that's parlay preaches, folks. I mean, I like it, man. I like what you're saying, and I like that you sort of broaden the horizons there. Like, you know what? Even though you care a lot about the FCS, there's plenty of other great things to bet, folks. And sometimes if you're having a rough FCS weekend, the NFL can bail you out. So
Yeah, like they say in gambling, whenever you're down bad, just keep chasing.
is that what they say? Oh
I
man.
think that's what the casinos say. But
Yeah, that's what the casino says.
so are we? Wait, let's see if I can fire up this. I'm gonna have to pull something up here if I'm gonna find out. All right, I can do it on my phone. It's gonna be a little choppy here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure there's a lot of ladies on the pod tonight. I think we have at least 0% female fans. But do you have anything to lead into guess the lines? We don't have a. I'm kind of stalling here because I thought we might have a surprise visitor because I need to go up against someone each week. It's part of my competitive nature. Last week, Patty had a good showing, but ultimately, I won 3-2. Right? We tied on one, but I won 3-2. And this week, I guess I'm playing like always against myself. You can make other jokes about that if you'd like. Absolutely, Seth. Double the bet until you win if you're not watching this. Yeah, what's that? There's a term for that. It's the you do it on roulette, you do it on blackjack. The martingale system. It's a terrible system. Don't ever do it. I don't think I ever have. I probably have, but you're gonna end up broke. Um, Colb, you got anything to throw down right now before we jump right into these lines? We got a tasty looking slate this week.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something just about the Sky in general, since this is a Big Sky podcast. Interesting week in the Sky, right? And after this week, kind of what I was thinking about was that the Big Sky might look a lot like the SoCon this season. And what I mean by that is that some of the upsets that we had, the Sky might kind of beat itself up a little bit in traditional SoCon fashion, right? Where they just always seem to beat up on one another, and then when it comes playoff time, there are too many losses, and only one team will get in or something like that. Now, I don't think that only one Big Sky team is going to get in the playoffs. That's kind of ridiculous. But I think yesterday or last weekend's games kind of made me look at the Big Sky slate coming up, some of the matchups, and obviously the games that happened, and was like, wow, some of this could get really, really crazy and weird. Nobody seems to be that dominant this year in the Sky, and so it really does feel like anybody could beat anybody. I mean, we even saw Cal Poly, who I thought was the worst team in the conference, go and put a pretty big shellacking on Northern Colorado at home at their place in Greeley. So I was just like, wow, this is just like bizarro, man. Like, what is going on in the Sky? So based on like what I said, what I saw this last weekend, anybody could beat anybody, and who knows? It might be a SoCon deal where the Big Sky just beats each other up, and we just limp into Selection Sunday and hope for 3 spots.
I love how you devoted any time at all about the Sky being the Sky and beating up on each other to Cal Poly, Northern Colorado, which two teams that won't sniff the pit playoffs at all.
Nope.
But you got to bring it up. It was a toilet bowl. It helped us figure out who was dead last. One of the hardest things to do every week is the picking the power poll, especially the bottom 3. It's always the bottom 3 in the middle are very tough. And apologies to Brian from Tubbs. I don't think I finished my poll this week. I just think I got too pissed at the Grizz for not having a defense and at Vegan for ruining my middle. And I was a little jet lagged. So apologies, Brian from Tubbs. But you guys, there's a shout out right there. Check out Tubbs the Club. They do a nice little power poll episode each and every week.
Yep.
All right. So, Colby, I guess we can go back and forth here. We can read these lines to each other, I guess, and I'll tell you mine, you tell me yours, because the special guest that we might have had obviously is not here, but we need to go up against someone, and you're here.
All right.
Can you pull that off? Did you write anything down, or are you just going to be going? Are you at a disadvantage right now?
Nope, I did not write anything down beforehand, so because we were kind of seeing if somebody else was going to show up tonight, which obviously they haven't, so it's just you and me. So we're just going to be kind of shooting from the hip on this one. So we'll see. We'll just see what comes of this, and then we'll take a look at it next week and see how right or very wrong we were.
So for those who follow me on Twitter, I was at Medina Country Club earlier tonight, and I was taking notes and preparing. So I've got a disadvantage here. I was well prepared, on this napkin. So I'm going to, since I'm having technical issues with my Google accounts, as we go back and forth, I'm going to be writing Colby's down on a napkin. So let's start with, speaking of your team and teams that don't play defense, we got 2 disappointing teams going up against each other. We got Weber State at Montana. What do you got for the line?
So this is a game that's going to be in Missoula, so instant advantage for the Grizz because Weber traditionally does not play well in Missoula. Even like in 2019 when we beat the Grizz in the quarters that year, we went to Missoula earlier that year and we got spanked like it was not good. So, and that was a good team, right? That was a semifinal team that year, but just Missoula gets in the Wildcats' head a lot of times, and not just football, and a lot of other sports too. So for this one, I mean, the thing that has me looking at it is like, listen, this Grizz team, they can run. I mean, looking at the numbers last weekend, I think between Osmo and their guy Eli Gilman, they put up 269 yards of, well, 200 yards net on the ground, 100 yards each. Weber State has had a really hard time covering the run defense this year. That's how McNeese beat them last weekend. They just haven't had a good experience stopping the run. So for this one, with Missoula being the thing, the Wildcats not having the best time, I'm going to go double-digit spreads for the Grizz. I'm thinking something like maybe 12.5.
Okay. I just texted Patty because if you take that long on every pick, we're going to be here till midnight. So, and that's me telling someone to stop talking so much. I hope people pick up on that irony. All right. So you put 12.5.
Yep.
I have my handy napkin here, so I'm not cheating. I undercut you. So if it's lower than that, I'm going to win because I've got 11.5.
Okay.
But we're close. I mean, that's interesting because now if we got a low line or a high line, you people out there know how to bet because us experts have it set right in that kind of 10 to 13 range, right? So if it's an outlier, you need to bet the opposite way and make some money. All right. So next game, I'm starting here since it's my team and it's homecoming. And some people I know, including some in the chat, are going to be there. They probably won't remember the game or really be able to see the field. He knows who I'm talking about. And Montana State's hosting Northern Colorado, who just lost at home to Cal Poly. And as I say that out loud, I realize the line I wrote down is too low. But I wrote it down, and I'm not going to cheat. I'm not. I got to go with what I wrote down. But then again, we didn't cover 38.5 against Mercyhurst, who just lost to a team that doesn't have a logo on Score Mobile. Like if you lose at home to a team that doesn't have a logo, it's just the football. The football, like that is a disgrace. That's another reason why I thought Idaho State, not to beat this dead horse, but I thought Idaho State plus 17.5, plus 19.5 was a stone cold lock, and that even minus 13.5 was a little dangerous. Anyway, Northern Colorado has no chance. I mean, if they lose that game, I'm going to burn all my Bobcat gear.
It'll be probably the worst loss in Bobcats history if they lose this game at Bobcat Stadium on homecoming to this team.
Well, maybe that was a trap game against Cal Poly, right? Trap game? Is that what happened? They were looking forward to beating Tommy and Vegan in Bozeman. Is that the strategy here? Noco, are you guys kind of giving us the old bait and switch here? All right, 32.5 is what I put down. 32.5.
All right, so Parlay has MSU minus 32.5. For me, obviously, we talked about MSU. I'm inclined to go a little bit less than that because I don't know, man. When we start getting above 30,
it is conference.
It's just and weird things happen, man. And so I'm gonna go a little bit lower than that. I'm gonna say 29.5 for this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not really. That's you and Seth since he threw out 28.5.
Yeah.
If I lose that one, I'm not gonna count it.
Okay. All right, next. Let's talk about this Davis at Portland State game. Because Davis just coming off this win against Idaho at home. Portland State not a great team. What do you got, Parlay?
Ooh, now we're on the same ground because I did not prepare that line. Let's see, we got who's hosting that one?
That's at Portland State.
Oh, the vaunted Hillsboro High School field.
Yep.
Oh man. Coming off, this could be letdown game territory. This could be one of those, in the old school Big Sky, this is where Davis loses. It is, right?
Okay.
I don't
Sashray comes in, has an amazing game, and just demolishes this Davis.
Plus, I'm sure they're beat up by the Idaho front. This could be one to watch. I think it's going to be Davis minus 8.5, and if it's higher than that, you better bet Portland State.
Okay. I think the books are going to look at this after that win over Idaho, and not that the books pay the closest attention because that's kind of the value of the FCS is that like the books kind of don't know. But for those that maybe do a little bit, I'm going to guess that they're going to take the win over Idaho, and they're going to say, okay, this is going to be Davis minus like 11.5. They're going to overfavor them here. That's what I think is going to happen.
If it's more than 10, I think I'm grabbing Portland. Um, all right. Let's speed this up a little bit. Since we're on Idaho, Idaho versus NAU. What do you got? Rapid fire.
NAU at Idaho. I still like Idaho. People are down. Idaho. I'm going to say minus 9.5.
All right. I mean, we're we're sticking close to each other. The biggest gap so far, well, 3 points in two of them. All right. So I wrote down Idaho -8. That's probably too low.
It may
Now that
be.
I think it's going to be double digits, but we're locked in 8 and 9.5. We can't change now. We can't change now.
All
What
right.
do you got next?
Next, it's Idaho State at Cal Poly. Idaho State's been plucky, I think, and
Are
Cal
we
Poly
picking
even.
them all? What?
Yeah, we're picking them all. We're just going to go through them.
Holy hell!
We got like three
Idaho.
left.
Why do I have to think about Idaho State and Cal Poly? Man alive! Goodness gracious!
So I'm going to say Idaho State minus 6.5.
Oof. Ugh. I don't even want to think about this game. You said 6.5.
Yeah.
Cal Poly just won on the road. I think Cal Poly 2.5.
Oh, okay.
That's a huge discrepancy.
It sure is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we're done with the sky. We're going to look a little bit abroad because we did promise a slice of the valley. So let's talk UND at NDSU. What do you got?
Game of the week, man.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Over under can't be high enough. Can't be high enough. Like NDSU's shown some weakness on defense at times. UND, didn't they just put up a 70 burger? Am I right? Or is that USD? Am I getting things mixed up? All right. Do 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 do. Am I just terrible at this, or every time I switch weeks on ESPN, it switches conferences, and I have to click it again? All right, so yeah, 72-35 against Murray State.
Murray State Racers, they're having a hard time.
So I mean, I don't know. Does that means they burned up too much gas in that game? No. All right, not the over under the line. Focus. Okay. NDSU. Wait, are they hosting it?
Yes, at the Fargo Dome.
Man. I might have made this too low. I'm cheating. I admit I'm cheating. I'm saying 11.5. I wrote down 7.5, but I think I was thinking that it was on the road.
So
I'm saying 11.5, and I know that's
11.5.
weird because UND looks great now, but
So
why am
that's
I saying I should have stuck? Whatever. Go ahead.
So
Sorry.
that's my thing, right? Is that I think that UND, I mean, North Dakota State has looked vulnerable. They've still shown that they can win, but they're winning closely. UND looks good. I'm saying NDSU with the home advantage, but NDSU only minus 3.5.
Yeah, I had 7.5, and I can't get my head around NDSU this year. Whatever. Next one.
South Dakota State at UNI.
You and I coming off a bye, and I got 15.5 South Dakota State.
Okay.
UNI usually plays them tough. They're coming off a bye. They know how to play these guys. I don't know anything about their roster. I just know they've played back-to-back FBS schools and then a bye. So this is a nearly impossible line to pick, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because this is not South Dakota State of old. They've looked shaky at times, but I'm inclined to think that they can handle Northern Iowa. So I'm going to go SDSU minus 18.5.
All right.
Okay. We're going to take a stop in the SoCon, and we're going to go to the CAA. We got Rail, Rivalry, Chat going to ETSU. Parlay. What do you got, man?
Chat ETSU.
It's a rivalry game, yeah. This is in-state
At
rivalry.
ETSU?
Yep, this is in Johnson City.
Okay. Man, did they both play last week? I mean, this is how I was out of the loop this weekend when it came to.
ETSU went to face the Citadel in South Carolina, and that was a whole saga. And then Chat was at home and played Portland State, but Finley Field was flooded or something. It was crazy. Helene is just having just wreaking havoc all across the South. Which, by the
Yeah.
way, I got to say, Bernie, you and I is good at home. You and I lost to Weber State last year at home in our terrible quarterback. Just putting that out there, man. And we were
Yeah.
not good last year, and they lost at home to us.
Yeah. So, man, I don't know. I mean, I think this is going to be one of those, be within three of either side. And I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't have a feel for this. I'm just going to have, my intuition says chat minus 2.5.
Okay. Parlay going with chat minus 2.5 on the road. I think ETSU is going to be favored here, and I'm going to go a little bit more. I'm going to say ETSU minus 4.5 because they are at home and they've had some good showings. So I think the books will favor them.
Big difference, but not as big as we had on the biggest matchup of the week, CPU and ISU. So is that all? Can we be done now? We're not. You don't got like 6 NEC games that we have to pick, do you?
Just one more. I just got one more for you. I felt like we had to take a little dip in the CAA, and so I looked across and said, what's the most competitive game that looks fun? And the answer was Nova at Stony Brook.
Okay.
Nova has been, and Stony Brook has been on the way up. What do you got, Parlay?
Nova was kind of had a big come down recently, I feel like, right? Stony Brook, Nova's going to be favored, 5.5. I'm just going to go Vegas zone right there. Nova 5.5.
Nova at 5.5. I think you're right. I think Nova will be favored. Maybe they shouldn't be, but they will be. And I think it's going to be maybe be a little bit less than that, though. I think it's going to be like something like 4.5. All right, Parlay, that's it. That's all the lines I got for you, man. That's it.
That's too many. I'm not going to look good this week. I'm going to be way off sometimes. When me and brother Daniel go after the lines first round of the playoffs, it's crazy sometimes. It's just so far off. We feel like we're complete amateurs. Usually in conference play, I get it down to where I'm within two points sometimes, which probably means I have a problem, right? I just today I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. If Sportsbook Montana generally drops on Tuesday, last week FanDuel dropped on Thursday on a lot of these games.
Wow.
So that was interesting. I think they're getting some more data points. They know that there's hunger for the FCS. They know that there's betting. They're testing some markets. They're wary of the sharps out there, but you know, it's nice to see some early lines because it's rough when they release them at 10 a.m. on Saturday, right? And nothing worse than that marquee 6 p.m. matchup that doesn't get released till half an hour before kickoff. How are regular folks supposed to make a living out there?
I don't know. Bet the FBS, I guess, if you dare.
Yeah.
So, Parlay, take us home, man. Let's wrap this up. Any final thoughts?
You know, I thought that the Grizz had a good defense. I really did. And I kind of wonder, you know, I'm stealing from who was supposed to be the special guest here. He's a football coach in Montana, not at the college level, high school level. He knows the high school kids in Montana. A lot of these rosters, they're Montana and Montana State, could be worrisome in the playoffs. They got kids. They're great Montana kids. Are they great FCS kids? I don't know. So if we see injuries like the Grizz had, if you're giving up 49 points to Eastern, what chance do you have against the XDSUs? What chance do you have against
yards.
UND? What chance do you have against USD or even the top 1 or 2 SoCon teams? Or even Nova for that matter. So I don't know, this depth thing in the Big Sky with the Montana schools, it's a little scary. I'm not going to talk about the coaching and the scheming because haven't watched enough film. I haven't watched enough of the games, but come on, man. That's not good. 49 points. Grizz guys are going to think I'm piling on, but they know deep in their hearts that they're nervous, that they're glad the brawl's not happening anytime soon. And I've seen Montana State not beat Mercyhurst by 70, so I'm nervous too. about the playoffs if we have any kind of injuries, because our depth is a little concerning, and I'm worried that it's just back to the old NDSU, SDSU are the top two, unless we get home game in the semifinal and perfect health in the Natty, we're going to have the same freaking result we've had the last 12 years. Hopefully that's pessimist parlay. Hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong.
Hope you are too.
That's all I got.
All right, folks. That's all we got for this week. So appreciate you guys for hanging out in the chat, throwing your lines in there. Parlay, you want to do any fan questions, or are we just going to say good night for this one?
Oh, you know what? I'm kind of tired. Unless someone drops a question in the next 5 seconds, I am not going to answer any questions this week. You can throw them out on Twitter for next week.
Yep.
You know, this is, I don't even know if it's real time. They might be seeing this like 10 seconds from now. It's hard to know. I don't know how this works. Where are we even?
Could
like,
be the dial-up internet. You never know.
I think we improved on that. I think we did. We got a smiley face, I think, or a sleepy face. I can't see. I don't have my glasses on. Okay.
Ron says it's time to go.
All right. This is the perfect way to end.
We'll see you guys.